getting all chatty.
We love that.
On the beach in Hawaii.
Welcome back, my good friends, to Smoking and Toasting. It's show number 130. Ian, here we are, 130 episodes.
No one
Has
stopped us.
Exactly. No one has stepped in and put an end to it. So who knows? We may well go to 150. Now, let me ask you a quick question. When we hit 150, is that any kind of a celebration, or do we have to get to 200 before it's really
what is that called? Is that sesquicentennial?
I don't know. Well, I know
that's
that
sesquicentennial.
when we did
Right?
the
151
100th
is
show.
the rum proof.
Well, there's that.
The rum proof show.
151. I like that. When we did the 100th show, we had the big celebration. We invited everybody who'd been on the show to be there. Not everybody could make it, of course, but
That was nuts.
It was a 4-hour drinking festival.
The best part of that, too, was all the people that came up to us that couldn't make it were like, I watched that show, and oh, my gosh.
My favorite part was the love fest that erupted between Jeremiah from B&B and your friend Mark.
That was amazing.
That was wonderful towards the end of the show. Not saying that any drinking had occurred, just saying it was wonderful. And Uber was utilized.
All right, I'm going to pull out my sound effect machine.
Right, while you do that, let me tell you
Which
about...
looks much like an actual bottle with a cork.
Let me tell you about the new article that's just been released about the 50 top craft brewers in the United States. This is based on volume, by the way. They have to qualify as a craft brewery. You're struggling. There you go.
No, I was hamming it up.
Oh, okay. I thought you were struggling.
No, I was
All
totally
right,
hamming it
So
up.
I'm going to give you some cups you can pour away there. While you're pouring, let me run down some of the highlights. I won't do all 50 breweries. Let me run down some of the highlights, as far as we're concerned at least, of this list. And number one, care to guess, Ian, the number one craft brewery, remembering what you have to be a craft brewery, right? So none of the AB-owned stuff makes this list.
Okay, so number one, I would have to guess is Sierra Nevada.
It's number 3. I mean, it's a great guess, but
New Belgium?
Yep, they're at number 3. No, number 1 is Yuengling.
Really now?
Because
Kudos to them.
They do qualify and classify as a craft brewery.
Also, the oldest operating brewery
right.
in the
That's
United
right.
States.
Yuengling and Sons Incorporated from Pottsville, Pennsylvania at number 1. At number 2, the Boston Beer Company, which is Sam Adams.
Nice.
All right. At number 3, it's Sierra Nevada, as you mentioned. And I think somebody said New Belgium. They are number 4.
Number 4, right
They
here.
are number 4. And then a couple of other things that are worthy of our note. At number 7, Bell's. Did you know Bell's was in the top 10, Ian?
No, I had
Bell's
no idea.
From Michigan.
I love Bell's.
They make great products. We've sampled a number of
I
them.
would like
on
to
this
pause
show.
the show for a second.
Yeah.
You mentioned the MS-150 earlier. I'll be riding that again this year. And I'm riding on Eureka Heights, which is a local brewery here in Houston Heights area. I'm riding on their team. But Bell's has teamed up with the New Potato Bar. And every Bell's you buy at New Potato Bar throws $1 into my MS-150 fund.
And I
Very
need
cool.
to go to the New
How
Potato
cool is that?
and buy Bell's, not only because I want to support
And smoke cigars.
and not only because I want to support your efforts, but also because I love the New Potato.
Oh, we had a good time
It's
when we were there
just
last
so
time.
cool. We did our Pipe 102 show there just a couple of episodes ago, and if you didn't catch that, it's definitely worth catching, because Ian, I will tell you, starts out on a diatribe about the pipes he's collecting that runs for like 4 segments. It's wonderful. It's
I
just
might have geeked
wonderful.
out a little bit on
You
that
did.
one.
You totally geeked out on the show, and it's great because I'm usually the one that gets all geeky, and this was your show to geek out, and I loved it.
It's not exactly cigar related, but
Yeah.
Well,
one
I've
of the
heard-
MS-50s that I rode, we stopped at lunch at the Bastrop High School, and there was a dude over there on the stairs by the high school. Finished his lunch. He was sitting there next to his bike, and he was just sucking on a cigarette like a Frenchman. Like the antidote was in there, and he was, and it was like this pristine moment of this guy in full cycling kit with his bike, and he's just, and I was like, that's pure bliss.
So I had a friend of mine who was an avid cycler, and he had a poster of, I think it was an old like Paris-Roubaix. And all the guys in the front of the peloton are smoking cigars,
they got
or
cigarettes and cigars hanging out of their mouth.
cigarettes
Yeah.
while they're riding their bicycles, because they thought if you smoke those, if you smoked a cigarette, you would starve your system a little bit of the oxygen. That way, you get stronger. Like, however that works. I don't know. But they were all smoking cigarettes on their bicycles on this ride.
God, you got to love science back in the day.
For years, yeah. For years, cigarettes were promoted as being a health aid.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
For years, especially menthol.
Yeah.
There you go.
They make your
FDA.
baby smaller, so they're easy to birth.
They make your baby smaller.
A couple other things I want to point out on this list
so wrong.
I know.
Before we taste the sours. At number 9, Stone Brewing.
Yay.
At number 10, Deschutes, which I love, Deschutes
Yep.
Brewery. Brooklyn Brewery at 12. Dogfish Head at 13.
One of my favorites.
Yes, I love them. One of my faves, Harpoon at 18. The boys from Boston. Shout outs to my Boston crew. Abita Brewing at 21. Odell at 23. Shipyard out of Portland, Maine at 29. For anyone who's from the Northeast, Shipyard is like a rite of passage up there. But they really don't have a lot of reach, I think, outside of the New England area. So I was actually a little surprised to find them on the list.
Nice.
Because I just didn't think they'd be able to sell enough beer just in that region to make the list. But interesting. Flying Dog at 33. Rogue Ales at 36. Wachusett at 43. Full Sail at 44. And at number 48, St. Arnold Brewing,
All right.
Houston, Texas.
Wondering if our boys at St. Arnold's will make that list.
Yes.
Yeah,
So
baby.
very, very, very excited. And by the way, a quick scan of this, St. Arnold, the only Texas brewery to make the list of the top 50.
No
I will
kidding.
tell you, St. Arnold, so their core line is good. Their amber ale is good. But their seasonals kick ass.
I'm
Like,
already excited for
unbelievable.
fall because of how much I love the Oktoberfest.
See, I love the Oktoberfest is one of my absolute favorites. Their Springbok just came out. Here it is on camera.
Yep, there it is. That's a great beer.
This right here, I wait for that.
Mm-hmm.
Every year, that's one of my absolute favorites. They have so many good seasonals. Their stout is amazing.
We need to actually work
it's like
to
they
get.
can't do wrong.
We actually need to work to get Brock from St. Arnold on the show because when we get him here, I need Ian for you to help me. I want to pin him down. They must bring back the Sailing Santa. That was like the greatest Christmas beer ever. And Sailing Santa, for those who don't know, it was half St. Arnold Christmas Ale and half of their IPA. The Alyssa.
I also
It was
want to point
wonderful.
out, if I took inventory of my beer fridge right now,
Yeah.
I have a 6-pack of Christmas ale in cans, so
You
it
want to
can't
drink that pretty soon, buddy.
so it can't get so it can't get so it can't go bad or anything like that. And then I also have.
Still want to drink it pretty soon.
You think so?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes, I do. You don't want that hanging around next year.
Come on. I can
Yeah.
wait another month.
Not much
Enjoy
longer.
it. Anyway,
I'll come over, help you drink it. It'll be okay.
You know,
No,
every once in a
we'll
while.
get-
I
we'll
also
through it.
have Bishop's Barrel. I think I have consecutive 16 through 22.
Oh, we should totally do a vertical.
Oh, yeah. And and then I have quite a few of the Divine Reserves, including a 6-pack of the 19 that I just bought.
Oh, nice.
And yeah, I have quite a few of those.
I remember, now I don't know if it's still the same way, but I remember when a Divine Reserve release was like a lines out the door
I remember
at
that
every
too.
Specs in
Although
town.
I walked into where was I? I was at Kroger, I think, and they had like a 6-pack of it on the shelf for
Yeah.
like $17. I was
Right.
like,
It's. I think it's become a little easier to get, a little more ubiquitous.
all right,
as they
I'm
say.
trying this beer.
All
I
right,
can't
so,
stop now.
so wait, tell me about it first. Tell me what we're sampling.
Denied. Okay, so
And I'm so sampling while you're telling
you were
us.
the worst person I've ever met. In one of our 65, each one of our 65 Foeder cask matures beers in its own
Wow.
unique way. So much that our master blender, Lauren, actually gives each one a name. Number 61 is called Gilda. Matured our golden ale Felix. So the beer is called Felix, and the cask is number 61. Okay, so let's see, where was I? To such a level of perfection that it needed to be experienced alone. Big lemon lime, starfruit. I don't know what starfruit is. Aromas dance
I
with
do.
citric acidity and slightly sweet finish. In a
Ian,
word, exceptional.
Taste this beer.
I was trying to.
Yes.
You wouldn't let me.
Taste the beer.
Here we go.
Taste the beer and talk to me.
Oh, my gosh.
I think it's astounding. Like, I absolutely love it. Now, I saw a very interesting look on
The
your face.
The lemon lime was unexpected.
Yeah, I saw a very
that was
interesting
very
look on your face. But I couldn't tell whether that meant
smell
you
like
didn't
it.
like
It smells sour, but it doesn't smell like lemon.
It was unexpected. And
It's
I haven't
big
decided if
I think it is so
And I'm willing to
unusual.
bet. Can I try a little bit more of your reserve?
I think it's so unusual, Ian. And we've had a number of sours on the show. We haven't done tons of them.
This
but we've
is
had a number
so
of them.
delicate, though.
This is way more delicate than your typical sour.
This is
Yes.
amazingly delicate compared to what you would normally get. This says aged 13 months as well.
Okay, Ian, I'm real curious to see. I just took another sip of the reserve.
Yeah, I wanted to try it with
I'm
this.
real
because
curious to see what that does to you from a flavor standpoint.
Wow. So going from the sour
You did the sour first and then the whiskey.
to the whiskey, it brings out so much of the warmer and fruitier flavors that you wouldn't even expect.
And it also almost mutes the burn, the heat.
There's
Not the
there's
burn.
none.
It
There's none
almost mutes it completely. There's very little heat if you've just taken a sip of this sour.
So when you go backwards, though, when you go from the whiskey back to the beer, it brings out lemon peel, like straight up lemon peel, like right at the edge of it.
Wow,
It's incredibly how well they interact.
These two actually marry beautifully.
And
I don't know if I would have predicted that for a sour.
And the end result is, you remember that gum that you used to get at like Academy that would make you just like
the Gatorade gum.
Yeah, the Gatorade gum that would make your taste buds go wild. Yeah,
Wow.
that's what's happening in my mouth right now.
Wow.
So the other signature drink that we have during our tours is called the Colonel Angus. It is lemonade, peppermint, and whiskey.
See, I love that your
That's
drinks are
incredibly
3
interesting.
ingredients. That's so cool.
I have kids.
Yeah. Okay.
So my cocktails are simple.
right.
And also, I don't like to be the
Here's
bartender.
the Zima.
So my cocktails
Here's the
are
Jolly
simple.
Rancher.
Exactly. if you're the guy who knows how to make cocktails, you become the guy who knows how to make cocktails at a party.
Right,
And
that
at
means
2 o'clock,
you're making
mixing
cocktails,
old fashions
while
and whatever.
everybody else is enjoying the
Right.
party, hanging out and talking.
But if
you're
you're-
back there going chugga chugga chugga
Yeah.
chugga.
But if
Yeah.
it's cocktails that are apple juice and lemonade, they're like, how many parts of lemonade? You're just
Yeah.
2 shots lemonade. You're fine.
These two things are fantastic together.
Yes, they are, and that I find that totally unexpected. I would not have thought that would be the case. But they are fantastic together, and they both alter the other's flavor substantially
In a fun
in
way.
a wonderful way.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was good.
Muted somewhat, but let's remember, it's a barley wine. It's
Yeah.
called Tenebris.
You know how much? Hold on.
Tenebris.
You know how much carbonation is in that? Almost zero.
Virtually
Look at the top.
none.
It's
Yeah,
flat.
virtually none. Well, that's why we didn't get the big whoosh
Right.
out of the
Nope.
thing. So let me read this to you, Ian. During medieval times, the shadow of the sun was how European alchemists defined the crow. It was their symbol for the blackness of despair and chaos. Remember the movie from the 90s, The Crow?
The correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. Had a great Nine Inch
Brandon
Nails
Lee.
song.
You said Shadow of the Sun, though. I
Yeah.
was thinking Audio Slave.
You know, I just remember there was a great Nine Inch Nails song on that soundtrack. We see the crow as a life force so powerful, it can actually live off death itself. Okay, some of these brewers are like just way out there. After all,
Poets.
it's not death if you refuse it. But here's what I love. This comes from Adroit Theory. We've had one of their beers on before. It wasn't a barley wine, but we've had one of their beers on before. And they actually give you recommendations for food, cheese, and cigars.
Love it.
That pair.
What do they
So
say?
here's what they say. The food, they say, adobo braised pork belly with creamed baby bok choy cognac.
Oh, I've got that. I'll just whip that up. real
Yeah, I
quick.
was going to say go for that if you don't mind. I'll be over at like 5 o'clock.
How many
let's have
chicken
it.
nuggets?
For cheese? Wouldn't it be funny if it said Burger King chicken nuggets?
Right.
Like, real
Bologna and cheese.
specific.
So
Yeah.
my brew club has done beer and junk food tasting.
Beer and junk food
Nice.
tastings. I love it.
Awesome.
I love it. For cheese, they recommend Cowgirl Creamery's Red Hawk cheese. I have not had this, but I'm now completely curious. And for cigar, they recommend the La Gloria Cubana Serie N, which, by
That's
the way,
a pretty
is
big
a
cigar.
pretty big cigar. But this
Not
is
size-wise, but
this is, in
flavor-wise. That's a
fact-
big cigar.
Yes, that's what I'm. And it's actually pretty big size-wise too, isn't it? That one of the ones with the larger ring gauge? Or no, that one's not. They have some that are the larger ring gauge.
The Serie R are the bigger ring
Right.
gauge, as far as I know.
But the Serie N, I think, is a little bit smaller. So I can tell you from pouring it, the first good news that I can give you, or good news to me at least, is that I did not see any chunks come out in the first pour.
Oh, you're so picky.
The second thing I will tell you, though, is
Sediment's
that
good, baby.
there's a certain amount of viscosity going on here. It is definitely going to be a full mouth feel. And this is, by the way, I will also mention, and I apologize that I don't remember the actual retail price, as Bob Barker would say, but this was a fairly expensive bottle. This was not a cheap barley wine. So you can factor that into your thought process.
Oh, well, there is no problem tasting this after both the whiskey and the sour ale.
Oh, that's interesting, because sometimes that's the thing with sours, is sometimes they really mess with everything you're going to taste after.
Oh, no. This one cuts through. This is a raisin/date bomb
Well, that's what barley wine's supposed
with
to be,
brown
right?
sugar and chocolate.
Yeah, barley wine's supposed to be
Or mocha,
very raisin and date, right?
More than anything else. There might be some subtleties I'm missing. Hold on, let me try some more.
Well, believe it or not, although it's a very different cinnamon from what we've tasted in the whiskey, there is some cinnamon in there as well.
Yeah.
And maybe like some allspice? I don't know what spice.
Man, this is
There's
busy.
some other
This tastes
sort of
like
oriental
it tastes like
spice in
baking
there.
spice. It tastes like brownies with date and like there are so many things going on in this.
You know how when you take a bite of a good piece of steak and it
Yes.
just kind of melts over your tongue and you get all that flavor and it keeps going? That's what this is.
Wow, interesting. I've never equated a beverage with a red meat. I paired them.
I mean,
Oh.
it's not the flavor of steak,
Right.
but it's that same type of just drapey flavor.
No.
No, how
visceral
good
satisfaction.
would
Yeah.
this go with a big tenderloin chunk?
Oh, God.
I may stop on the way home and get a La Gloria Cubana Serie N because this is sounding like the perfect
I
pairing.
can see
You'd
how this
have
would
to
go
have
really
something
well.
that big though to go
Right.
to go with this, you know.
I could see how this would go really well with a cigar that has just that drapey type of leathery flavor to
Yeah.
it.
Something that almost feels like you're smoking a leather jacket. You know what I mean?
Yes. like I just set my jacket on fire.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm enjoying the smoke.
Wow. So I'm going to try now going back from this to the reserve.
I'm curious. Because the cinnamon is a little more apparent now.
All right. The first thing I'm going to tell you is it's an entirely different experience than going from the sour to this.
Okay.
Like 180 degrees. What it brings out in the whiskey. And I'm not like a tasting snob. I'm not one of these guys that's going to tell you, yeah, this I taste cinnamon from the north of France in the summertime on a sunny day.
What's odd about that is the cinnamon in the beer brings out even more cinnamon in the whiskey.
That's right. And the cinnamon in the beer is so much different.
Like it actually, like the sweetness in the beer, I think covers the sweetness of the whiskey to the point where the whiskey becomes a cinnamon bomb at this point. But
Now-
it's buttery too.
now
and
go
that
back-
buttery comes through.
Now go back to the beer.
Yeah, I'm interested. Oh wow,
Yeah.
the dark fruits just pop
They
right
just
now.
come right to the surface. Come right to the
Like
surface.
that's like fig. That's like fig Newtons right there.
I was going to say, there's dark fruits in there that I haven't eaten before. You know? Yeah.
It's like
there's figs and there's dates and
and
there's
even
raisins
almost
and
a
there's
little
something
bit
else.
of like black olive kind of
Oh, that's
like
interesting.
a little
yeah.
bit of that kind of thing going on because there's a little
I'm going to tell
spice
you
to it.
that this is actually one of my favorite barley wines that we've had in a very long time. Where would you place it, Ian?
That's pretty amazing.
On second taste, after going back to the whiskey and then coming back for a taste of the beer, second taste of the beer, I'm also pulling out. Yes, you can have more. I'm also pulling out some chocolate, some sort of cacao, sort of cocoa.
I tasted those
flavors.
chocolate notes up front earlier, and I thought that's really, really big chocolatey
So Tenebris. So if you are a fan
stuff.
of this style, you should search this one out. I think this is definitely worth it. The Tenebris barley wine, and it is. It's not inexpensive, but it is quite good.
You know, it's a fun thing today that the things we tried go well with the whiskey. That's not always
You're right. It's not
the
always
thing
the
that
case.
happens, but
Yeah. Joe, tell me a little bit about what you see next. We talked a little bit about your bourbon, which is not one of the things that we tasted today, but what do you see next in the world of bourbon and how you guys fit into that? Bourbon, it seems to me, is, and correct me if I'm wrong, the most explosive whiskey category right now. Is that right?
Right now, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right now, the American bourbons are blowing up. Figuratively, not literally, because that would be bad for obvious reasons.
although they will actually catch fire.
Yeah,
Yes.
and it has happened. But the next, oh goodness, you're talking about the next 3, 4, 5 years in the industry, you're going to see two different distinct trends. You're going to see, not unlike with the craft brewing industry, where you've got a lot of small guys opening up with new expressions, growing up and growing their brand and trying to get a foothold in the industry. And a portion of them will be selling out to the larger brands.
Yeah.
That'll be picking up and picking off the smaller brands and putting money into them to grow their footprint and grow their style and grow their place in the market using their money. The
Right.
Jim Beam money. There's a lot of Jim Beam money floating
Yeah,
out there.
of
There's a lot of
course,
Jack
yeah.
Daniels money floating out there. There's a lot of money out there with the big Kentucky distillers. So there's a lot of small boutique regional distillers that are going to get snapped up. It's kind of the wild, wild west of distilling right now, and not unlike how it was with broadcast antennas back in
Sure.
the early days of TV and the early days of
Banks.
radio and the
During-
early
yeah.
days of beer and even the current days of craft
Sure.
brewing. There's going to be a huge consolidation in the industry, but that's also going to open up a lot of space in the underbrush, so to speak, for guys like us that want to develop and grow into a generational type of distillery and grow our space and grow our voice and grow our brand in a way that allows us to express what we want to do with our grains.
Now,
So
yeah.
so the industry over the next, the last 5 years was kind of an establishment phase. The next 5 years is going to be sort of a sifting phase.
Yeah.
And then the 5 years after that is going to be a bit more of the people left standing and the people who are turning into, we know who the craft brewers
at
are
that
who
point in
went to
time, you're
AB
either
InBev.
gonna sell
So,
out or you're
Right.
gonna
yeah, you either sell your brand and grow, or you stake out your ground and be who you're going to be. And there's a middle ground too, where you can stake out your ground and be who you want to be with consolidator type of money, but that's a harder place to be in.
By the way, I would just mention, you talked about selling out to AB InBev. I actually saw a billboard this week. It's the first time I had seen it. And it was a billboard for Carbach Hopadillo. And it said, #1 best-selling IPA in Texas.
I saw that. It's on 59.
And I will say we have friends at Carbach. We like those guys. I will tell you that Hopadillo is a fine IPA, not my favorite. It's good. I don't think it's anywhere near the best that's being made in Houston right now, much less the rest of the country. But the reason that it's the #1 selling IPA in Texas is because of AB InBev using their power to muscle it into places to be.
Oh.
I can't tell you how
Because
many.
AB InBev
Right.
takes up 17 doors at your local brewery.
Right.
And then when they get to the craft brewery, 4 doors, they take up 2 of them with nothing but Carbach.
But the reality of the thing, though, is that
It doesn't mean it's a bad beer. It's not a bad
I'm
beer.
just saying.
true.
Yeah, yeah.
It takes more than a good idea and a good beverage.
Right.
It takes
Mass marketing,
the marketing
a dog
strength
with
to
spots,
get onto,
a cold activated can. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I thought we were going somewhere else.
It takes the marketing strength to get onto the shelf,
Right.
and that's
Marketing
part
strength
of it.
is a good way to say it.
And we can grow our voice. We can grow our voice among the people of Texas and among the people of Houston and Dallas and San Antonio. There's a lot of people in Texas. There's a lot of people in Houston.
Yes.
There's more people in Houston than there is in Louisiana.
Right.
So when people ask me, when are you going to be in Louisiana? Well, when the people in Dallas are finished being fed,
Right,
I'll go
right.
to Louisiana. You people got to wait in line because
Right,
y'all
right.
are. There's more people in Dallas. Y'all got to wait. When are you going to be in
The people in
New
Louisiana,
Mexico?
The
Y'all
people
got to
in
wait.
Louisiana are crazier, though.
Well, true.
Yeah.
But there's more people in San Antonio than New Mexico.
And more
so
fun
New
to-
Mexico has to
and
wait
more
in
fun
line.
to hang out with, by the way. No, but you know what I love about the world that we've entered into now, and this is due, I think, to the internet and social media and everything. But it's really interesting to me. I'd much rather sit and have a conversation with someone who says, you know what I tried was this whiskey, and it was really amazing. And I don't know if you've ever tried it, but you should try it. Especially if you like this and this, you should try it. I'm much more taken in, intrigued by that conversation than I am by a billboard that tells me you're the number one best-selling anything. Mm-hmm. You know, it used to be about what was the biggest. What do you like? Well, you like the band that's the biggest band in the world because that's who everybody likes, and so they must be good for that reason. But now it's actually much cooler to be like, this
There's
is a
more
band
camaraderie in the underdog.
My friend turned me on to that I tried and I thought they were really good. This is a whiskey that my friend tried and told me it was great, and I tried it. And
There's
my
more
new favorite
camaraderie in the underdog, and by the way, that's called being emo.
thing. Is that what it's called? And that, I think, is a perfect place to begin wrapping up the show today. Wow, Joe, it has been so much fun having you on the show.
It's been a blast being here. Thanks, guys.
I am so impressed with your whiskey.
Thank you.
And it's really cool because, you know, the more time we spend trying out different brands of different whiskeys.
Blown away by how young the whiskey is and how good it is.
Yes.
Have me back in
yes.
9 months. We'll talk about the Boomtown.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm
Wow.
just amazed by that.
Well, and by the way, I do want to really do that because
Okay.
I want to check it out and try it. Just last
Also,
question.
I want one of those 100 bottles.
Yeah. I was last question. Realizing the demand that you've had for it, how do you address that going forward? Do you really work on opening things up so you can make more?
That's exactly what we're
how
gonna
does
do.
that work?
We're going to work really hard at increasing our capacity and increasing the amount that we produce in order to match the market. I mean, that's the goal.
You realize at some point you're probably going to have to hire another person.
That's the goal.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the goal. You know.
Yeah.
I'm just going to lay it out here. If you need someone with absolutely no experience and no skills, don't put out an ad or anything. I'm right here.
Well, funny you should mention that. The guy who started this company had absolutely no skills. So we like
there's
those
hope
guys.
for someone
Yeah.
like me.
Ian, I'm just looking in the bottom of my cup of the barley wine, and there are some chunks in there. So
I told you, sediment's good. Get over it.
Yeah.
Now you don't need
I
lunch.
just don't want to chew my beer. That's all.
You just have to put it in as your calorie quota for the day.
Well, the special reserve is fantastic. The Old Humble Distilling. How do you
straight
refer
whiskey.
to this? The
Straight whiskey.
Okay,
And the
whiskey.
special reserve.
Yeah, these are both fantastic, and I'm blown away by how good they are at the price point.
Yes.
You talked to Ian about how blown away you were by how good they were for how young they are. I'm blown away by how good they are at that price point. That I think to me is a recipe for success. So really, we want to wish you good luck.
Thank you much.
We want to have you back to talk about the Boomtown, and we want to let everybody know. Thumbs up on this stuff. It's,
One thing that I'd like to add, Memorial Day, we're having our anniversary party at the distillery.
Congratulations.
I'm billing it as the last of its type because we're moving to a new facility afterwards.
cool.
Nice.
Cool.
So Memorial Day at the distillery, the event's out on Facebook. We're going to be doing tickets and bands and stuff and barbecue. And
What's
it's
the
gonna
best
be
Hire
way?
my band.
What's the best way for people to find you?
Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, website.
Okay.
We're out there.
Old Humble Distilling
Yep.
in Humble, Texas. thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you.
We really appreciate it. This was a lot of fun.
Thank you for having me.
And we love the whiskey. Ian, any parting thoughts or last words? I see you got more barley wine.
This barley wine is unbelievable. It's
really
so
good,
malt
isn't it?
forward.
Yeah.
It's so ridiculous.
It's really good, yes.
It's sticky sweet, and I love that. It's raisiny. It's datey. Hire my band. It does so many different things that are awesome.
His band is Big Dumb Rock, by the way. And it's
noted.
awesome. It's awesome.
We're called the Blackout Vipers. I'll send you a recording.
It's awesome. It's awesome. So I'm going to wrap this baby up then. Thank you very much for being a part of the show. Thanks to our producer, Adam on the Wheels of Steel. This has been show number 130, which leaves us wondering, what do we do for 150? We're only 20 episodes away now.
Sesquicentennial.
Yeah, I don't like the way that sounds. That sounds too... I don't know. We'll think of something.
Okay, you realize that 200 is going to be a crazy party.
200 is going to be nuts. That'll be off the chain. Mm-hmm. But what do we do for 150? Is it a fake? Is it a fake holiday? Was it made up by Hallmark cards? You know,
it's possible. It could have been made up by the jewelry companies just to make us buy yet another commemorative ring to go on.
I heard she went to Jared.
Oh, wait, I don't have any commemorative rings for
I want to
this.
thank everybody for being a part of the show this week. Thank you. We're out. It's Smoking and Toasting. Have a wonderful week, my friends. And as we like to say, cheers.
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 This is going to take me some practice.